So we will watch Aintrazi and Gerry Thompson get ready to do battle here. Green Red Tron versus Grixis Control. We thank you for joining us early this morning. We got 6 rounds of action to bring you. Then we do cut to a top 8 elimination rounds, and someone's walking out of here with a whole chunk of change that we will go over after game 1. Gerry is on 5 cards inscribed to the bottom. What do you think now?
It's a bumpy start.
It's a tough start to the day. He'll start by sacrificing a fetch line. Here is an Inquisition of Kozilek.
You know, with the stream of cards like Snapcaster Mage and Jace, the card advantage doesn't have to be crippling.
Sure. Blood Crypt is his weapon of choice. You see Aintrazi's hand here, 2 Ancient Stirrings, looks like an Expedition map. 2 Tron pieces, along with the Ghost Quarter and Eye of Ugin. The Tron pieces there are a tower and a power plant, so he's basically there. Though he doesn't have green mana for the Stirrings just yet.
He's not there yet.
Yep. And he also doesn't have a payoff card yet either. So this Inquisition looks like it can take the Expedition map, depending on what Gerry wants to do. Hopefully, if you're rooting for Thompson, he does not find another Tron piece. And then you go from there. And you mentioned Jace, and that is in Gerry's hand right now. So that is a card that can kind of undo things.
It can, but 1 or 2 draw steps out of Ollie, and the game's almost put away.
Yeah.
It really depends how this plays out.
Karn Liberated was the draw. The power plant is the land. Pass the turn back over to Thompson. Thompson with a Thought Scour. He'll play a Creeping Tar Pit. His blue mana enters the battlefield tapped, so we go back over to Aintrazi, who picked up a copy of Pyroclasm. There is the Tower of Power. Aintrazi is just 1 piece away as Thompson untaps. He'll take a draw yet again. Picked up a copy of Terminate.
This is tough for Gerry. He really wants another land drop this turn, and we're going to see him go digging for it.
He does cast a Thought Scour. Well, he did find a land in Blackcleave Cliffs, but it's not the ideal one to be able to cast a Jace.
Yeah, a little fortunate to get the land there, a little unfortunate that it wasn't a blue source.
It does allow him to cast Tasigur, though, and delve away enough cards to be able to play the 4/5 ahead of schedule. So he's got a clock on the battlefield as Aintrazi does draw. And I think that wasn't Urza's Mine. So that's just the power of Tron right there. Roll out of bed, keep 2 Tron pieces.
You know, he probably went to bed a little bit early last night.
Maybe, yeah.
You know?
Here's Karn. That'll come down.
Had a good breakfast this morning. Wake up, play Karn on 3.
Yeah, had his bowl of Wheaties, I guess.
Yeah.
Aintrazi's going to figure out what he wants to do with Karn. He can go up or down. Both make a little bit of sense here. If he does go down, I'll probably see him take out Tasigur. If he goes up, that means Tasigur can't finish off Karn. So a bit of a decision to make here. Making it look easy is Aintrazi, who has made it look easy all weekend so far, given that he is 9-0 here with Tron. Looks like Karn's going to go up. How do you feel about this decision from Ali?
I like it. I think it's more of a long-term plan.
Okay.
You know, he's going to strip all the cards out of Gerry's hand. Gerry has to keep fighting this Karn, which means Ollie's life total is safe. And if Ollie draws 1 more payoff card, the game's basically over.
Well, Karn is at 10. It took a Terminate with it. Thompson's draw for the turn was a Swamp. Tasigur going to go into Karn, going to put it back down to 6. Here is a Jace. And Thompson will pass the turn back. Not going to play the Swamp. Wants to make it appear as though he has something good in his hand. Aintrazi's draw was the basic Forest, which allowed him to cast Ancient Stirrings. So we'll take a look at the top 5 cards, Ulamog among them. There's also an Expedition map in there and a Pyroclasm. Aintrazi going to consult the grip. Eye of Ugin, Pyroclasm, Ancient Stirrings, all in hand right now. Looks like he's thinking Ulamog.
Yeah, we see Gerry struggling a little bit with his lands. You know, he mulliganed a few times, and on the flip side, Ollie's deck has just run smooth as butter here.
Yeah. He's making it look easy so far. Karn going to go up. Swamp is the weapon of choice. Aintrazi will just pass the turn back. Thompson going to untap. He'll take a draw. Didn't get a great look at the draw. He's going to start by activating Jace. And Jace was the draw off of Jace, and there's a Snapcaster Mage there. And Gerry says, I'll take back my cards, thank you.
Gerry's had enough.
And he will concede this game. So Aintrazi going to win game number 1 here over Gerry Thompson. Green Red Tron flexing its muscles early this morning, up a game over Grixis Control, which means we're going to turn our attention to the sideboard. And this is where things certainly do get better for the Grixis Control deck. You see 3 Fulminator Mages, 2 Bitter Blossoms, 2 Dispels, and a lot of 1-ofs here in Peace Strider, Jurbai Merc Lurker, Vandal Blast Counter Squall, Engineer Explosives, Crumble to Dust, Is It Static Caster, and Tribute to Hunger. Craig, I'll let you step in Gerry's shoes. What would you do here?
The 3 Fulminator Mages will definitely come in here, and the Crumble to Dust. That's his primary path to fight against these non-basic land Tron pieces. The Bitter Blossoms are going to come in as an earlier threat. Maybe we'll see something like Tribute to Hunger if it ever hits a fatty. It's a lot of life you can gain.
This is true. It is actually a way to kill Ulamog if it comes to that, because Ulamog is indestructible and it's a sacrifice effect. I'm curious to see if Gerry will board in something like a Vandal Blast or a Counter Squall in this matchup. Both seem like fairly good options. Counter Squall kind of playing the role of negate, and then Vandal Blast. You're not going to blow up a lot of artifacts, but if you can catch something like an Expedition map, I think you might be happy with that. On the other side of things for Aintrazi, a Pithing Needle, 2 Relic Progenitus, 2 Thragtusk, 2 Rending Volley, 4 Nature's Claims, 2 Spell Skites, and 2 Fire Spouts. What do we like there?
I expect to see the Relics come in, fight all of that graveyard, and the Thragtusks.
Well, those are the options there for both players as they do sideboard and get ready. So, said we discuss exactly what these players are playing for here on day number 2. Thompson and Aintrazi currently leading the pack. You do see what a winner will get here. $5,000, 30 SCG points, and of course an invite to our Season 1 Invitational. Second place, $2,000, 25 SCG points, and invite to our Season 1 Invitational in Columbus, Ohio. Top 4, top 8, top 16, top 32, and top 64, so on and so forth. 92 players into day number 2, so a large percentage of them will walk out of here with something before we head to Charlotte next weekend. And right now, it might be Ali Aintrazi who walks away with something, who is off to a great start yet again here with Tron. Again, he is our Season 2 Invitational champion last year on the SCG Tour. And for Aintrazi, 2 Invitational top 8s, 10 Open Series top 8s, and what Craig has disputed, his professional teddy bear naming responsibilities. It just felt like yesterday that you weren't much of a believer.
Well, I just want to see those tax returns.
Oh, that's what you need proof?
Yeah.
Okay, I understand. I think we'll find Ali after the match, see exactly what's going on.
Yeah,
there.
I wonder how large of a market there is for something like that.
Well, I think that if he's looking to expand, I think you could be first up.
Sure. Would he name other types of plush animals as well?
Potentially, there are a lot of plush animals out there. Beanie Babies. I know that those things come with names, but that doesn't mean they can't be renamed. For example.
Sure.
And, you can dive into other markets as well. I feel like something like Hot Wheels or Micro Machines, you can name cars, and I bet no one's on that market.
Probably not.
Yeah, I got some Hot Wheels for Christmas in my stocking.
This year?
Oh, yeah. Does that surprise you?
A little bit.
Why? Hot Wheels are great.
Okay.
Booming industry. Booming. They're still going strong from our childhood to today. Because who doesn't want Hot Wheels?
Are your parents heavily invested in Mattel stock or something like that?
I cannot disclose that information on air.
Okay.
That's not something I'm willing to do. But the answer might be yes. So that's all that I can say. For Gerry Thompson, who is drinking a Red Bull this morning, he has put the Mountain Dew down. He needs a little energy to start, apparently.
Riding the ball.
For him, a lot of Open Series top 8s as well, as he's going to take a look at his opening hand here. But for Thompson, you see 6 Invitational top 8s with 2 wins, 18 Open Series top 8s with 5 wins, a Pro Tour top 8, and of course our favorite fun fact, the $20,000 underneath his bed in a shoebox at one point.
It's a true story.
It is very true. Most people think that we do 1 truth and 2 lies here, or 2 truths and a lie, or whatever. These are fact sheets, people. They're 100% true.
I think his judgment has come along a little bit since that point.
Well, that might be true. That might be true. Tough to say. Tough to say. What we know is that he has enough money to afford that beautiful scarf.
It is chilly in the feature match area.
It is. And I'm a big fan of scarves, so I approve of this behavior.
Okay.
I'm a big fan. Yourself? You a scarves guy?
During chilly weather.
Well, it's chilly in here.
The scarf needs to be functional for me.
Oh, it's not so much about the look of the scarf.
Correct.
It has to have function. Okay, I see. So you're not very materialistic.
Not for scarves.
Gotcha. This is not going to work out very well here.
I mean, you've seen some of my sock collection so far.
The sock game is strong.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan.
Yeah. I don't like me white socks.
Yeah, I feel bad that the people this weekend, both here and at home, aren't going to get to see the, I would call it turquoise. The color, turquoise gray combo. Big fan. Big fan of the socks today.
I appreciate
the
that.
tie,
Thank you.
Not so much. We'll get to that later.
Oh, I'm sure some people will have something to say about that.
We'll get to the tie. Get to the tie. Thompson going to take a mulligan here. Not too thrilled with his opening hand.
This has been a bumpy road for Gerry here.
Well, especially I think in this particular matchup.
Oh, yeah, he has to search for the right cards.
Yeah, I expect to see some aggressive mulligans from him because, as you said, he's looking for specific cards. Just, kind of a random hand I don't think it's going to do. I think he's looking for Full Air Mage, Crumble to Dust, maybe a Jace to steer things in the right direction.
Yep.
You mentioned the power of the discard spells. Those could play a role as well. Thompson has decided, how about 5 cards?
You know, I think Gerry's thinking that the matchup is just a little too unfair for him. So he's going to make it more fair by starting with 5 cards.
Ah. And that worked out swimmingly game 1.
Sure.
So we'll see how that goes again here. Perhaps that's his line of thought. We'll have to talk to him after the match, I guess.
It's unfortunate, but really, you know, mulliganing is part of the game. It happens, and realistically, players should be thankful that they have this opportunity.
Instead of just having to keep
having to keep the cards they start with.
I agree with that. I also look at mulliganing as I actually got this from Gerry. It's a thing you get to do.
Yes,
it's not
exactly.
a thing you have to do. So, in that regard, you know, you can still mulligan to 5 and beat Tron if you find the right pieces. A couple land destruction spells can be good enough. Thompson taking a look at 5 cards. There's a Jace among those cards. He's going to scry.
Yep, scrying. So he kept that hand.
That card will stay on top. He will start with a Watery Grave. Down to 18 goes Thompson. And he'll simply pass the turn back. It's Nurse's Power Plant into an Expedition map. Here's a Thought Scour from Thompson. He's going to Thought Scour on Aintrazi, take care of a Karn and a tower. A mountain over there for Gerry. So he does have a turn 2 Jace available.
Yeah, it's interesting that he chose to Thought Scour his opponent there.
Yeah, so he kept on top with the scry. So clearly he wanted that card.
Yeah, he needed that card.
Yeah. I was a little bit surprised to see that. Here's a Bloodstained Mire. Especially in this deck that uses its graveyard so much. Thompson thinking Blood Crypt, perhaps. Steam Vent's also an option here with the fetch land. There's the Steam Vents. Thompson will fall a little bit lower, down to 15. And perhaps the Jace is on the way. And there it is. He'll pass the turn back over to Aintrazi. We'll untap that power plant, take a draw step here. There's Nurse's Tower to go along with the power plant. He can sacrifice the Expedition map for mine, and it's just that easy to accomplish Tron in this deck.
This is a problem.
Yes, to say the least. Thompson going to start by activating Jace. Island is what he's found.
And it looks like he does have a Fulminator Mage to break up that combo for a turn.
That's very important. First things first, he's got to figure out what to discard. And if he's able to work his way into a card like Crumble to Dust, he'll have all the time in the world. So he does have kind of an all-star to draw towards. So he discards a mountain. There's an island. Here's a Fulminator Mage. Aintrazi will sacrifice the Expedition map. Going to search up in Urza's Mine. Looking to complete the Tron. Fulminator Mage is going to go after the tower. Craig, I have a theory. A lot of people go after the tower. I think, as a community, we should be going after the power plant or the mine. What do you think about this?
I think it's trivial.
Look, they always have the backup tower in hand.
Do they?
They being a Tron player.
Sure. Well, you've been a Tron player, so you have experience with this.
You always have the backup tower, and nothing tilts you more as a player when they replay the tower, right? Like if they replay the mine or the power plant, not a big deal. But if they spike the tower on you, pretty annoying.
It just means so much more.
Yes. So for tilt factors alone, if they are going to spike the other Tron piece on me, well, let it be one of those ugly mines. That's fine, but not the tower.
All right.
This is just something I'm working towards for the betterment of the Magic community.
We're crafting the community at large.
Yes.
Sure.
I feel like I'm generally doing everyone a favor. Are they going to scrying up a tower, given that Gerry killed that? Here comes Thought Scour. Thompson will target himself. Kolaghan's command, Tasker will go away. Scalding Tarn the draw. Jace can flip here at a moment's notice. Creeping Tar Pit also in hand right now. One thing to note is that Aintrazi is going to be 2 turns away from Tron, so
Yes.
Gerry, in a way, gets a free turn here, I guess is the best way to put it. He's going to discard Creeping Tar Pit.
With that free turn, he has time to use Jace to flash back the Kolaghan's command. The command can return the Fulminator Mage, and the next turn he can replay the Mage, destroy another land, and get a whole nother turn after that.
Yep. So it didn't seem as though Thought Scouring into Kolaghan's command was going to play a huge role in things, but it's actually pretty beneficial right now.
Well, Gerry chose not to take that path.
So he Thought Scoured.
Oh, yeah.
Kolaghan's command into the graveyard.
Yes.
Yeah. So that initially I thought that wouldn't matter all that much, but it's actually pretty good now.
Definitely.
He's sacrificing a fetch land, get a Blood Crypt out, going to take 2, and I think he's going to take the line of play that you just mentioned.
Yes.
Yeah, here's K command. Fulminator Mage is going to be returned, and I think we'll see him force Aintrazi to discard a card here as well. We'll just see what Ali wants to discard. He's thinking Thragtusk briefly. He's going to go with Oblivion Stone, and now pass the turn back over to Thompson. Excuse me, over to Aintrazi. Aintrazi will draw. Looks like another copy of Sylvan Scrying. There's the mine. And there's the map. Pass the turn back. A Lightning Bolt the draw here for Thompson. Inquisition is where he will start.
And this will give him a little more information if he wants to destroy the mine or the power plant.
Correct. Which is where we should be going all the time.
Sure.
You must let them know. You don't care about the tower.
Walk right around that tower.
That's right.
Who cares?
Stirring, Scrying, Thragtusk, Ghost Quarter, and the tower that Aintrazi searched up earlier is what Thompson is looking at. And Jace is going to move up. Stirring's down. Okay, excuse me. Scrying down. There we go.
A little confusion among the players there.
Gerry giving him a bit of a look there.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, you just got to look him up sometimes. Here's Fulminator Mage.
Hey man, who do you think you're playing against?
Not going to get that by me. Fulminator Mage might be sacrificed here. He waited until Aintrazi activated Expedition Map last time. Going to get a little look at the graveyard here before making a decision. Now, one thing to note that might not have seemed relevant earlier, and so now my Urza's Tower diatribe may be useless. Gerry did Thought Scour Ali on turn 1 and turned over an Urza's Tower.
Sure.
So now he's actually incentivized to go after the towers.
Continue to destroy the towers.
Correct. That said, might be time to change gears, go after the mine. Just mix it up.
And they're going to have a little back and forth here where Ali doesn't want to search for one of the lands yet.
I think this is a smart play by Gerry in the draw step. He's going to blow up the land. And now this will cause Aintrazi to use this mana.
Sure, Aintrazi immediately gets to choose to replace that land. If he had searched first, then Gerry could have gone after the other land.
Yep. And so now he's going to get Nurse's Mine yet again. Threatening Tron always. And this is what makes Tron such a resilient deck against land destruction that doesn't exile stuff for good like a Crumble to Dust or a Sowing Saw. Fulminator Mage is something that the deck can kind of work through, as you're seeing right now.
Standard class of players, that is time in the round. Active player finish your turn, then proceed with another 5 additional turns.
There is Nurse's Mine. Not sure if he's going to deploy a spell with it or not. Going to give Thompson a life to cast Ancient Stirrings.
Start with the Stirrings.
Oblivion Stone, Grove of the Burn Willows, another Ancient Stirring is an Urza's Power Plant and an Urza's Mine. Here for Aintrazi. It is worth noting that as far as payoff cards are concerned, Aintrazi doesn't really have one. Thragtusk is a beatable card.
Yes.
That can be done.
Well, it would still be a problem for Gerry at this point if it came down.
It is, but you know, it's not Wormcoil Engine, it's not Karn, it's not Ugin, it's not Ulamog. You know, those are probably game over at this point. Working through a Thragtusk never easy for Grixis control, but I would say beatable. Thompson will draw. I believe Bitter Blossom will draw.
Yep.
Now he does have a Jace Telepath Unbound on 3 counter, so he can use that to recast something from his graveyard if he'd like. A couple Thought Scours down there.
And this is the tough spot for Gerry, where he no longer can interrupt his opponent from doing anything he wants.
He will cash in Jace. Here comes Thought Scour. He'll target himself. Serum Vision's in a land. Pick up a card. It's a copy of Thoughtseize.
Well, that's a fine one.
I don't hate that. Gonna take away the Thratusk. Hope Aintrazi doesn't peel for a couple of turns.
Unfortunately, with no pressure from Gerry, that Expedition map can search up the Eye of Ugin, and then it's just a barrage of threats from there.
Yep. There's a Bitter Blossom. Thompson at 12. He'll pass the turn back. Aintrazi will have Tron online this turn. And sometimes you just draw what you need.
Sometimes every time.
Yeah. As here's a tower, and there's a Karn. See, Magic at its core, very simple game. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, clearly Ollie swung by church this morning. You know?
Just a very, very easy game.
Lots of clean living, and it pays off.
Looks like Karn is going to go up. Thompson's going to use Lightning Bolt. Going to send it Karn's way. It's down to 7 now. Thompson will untap. Trigger the Bitter Blossom. Fairy Token on the way as he falls down to 11. Creeping Tar Pit among those lands. He can fire that up, maybe check Karn a little bit more. But trying to attack down Karn is a very difficult thing to do.
It's a daunting task.
So much loyalty built into that Planeswalker.
And every time Gerry chooses to go the creature land route, he forgoes playing the card that he drew for that turn.
Yep. Not quite sure what the draw was here for Thompson this turn, but seeing if he can try to overcome Karn will be difficult. At this stage, he's just going to pass the turn back. Curious as to what he did draw here. Looks like Karn is going to go up to 11.
Yeah, we're going to find out right away here.
I smell a Snapcaster Mage. We'll see what Thompson wants to flash back. A Lightning Bolt in the graveyard, among other things. I think he's targeting Thought Scour. I think Aintrazi's draw may have been Ulamog. Yeah, there's a mod. Yeah, see, this is again the thing about Magic is that it's not particularly difficult.
This is an easy game.
Yeah, there goes probably a Tar Pit, and we'll see what else.
I would guess just 2 lands here.
You think so? Don't really care about the creatures in the Bitter Blossom too much?
No, I mean, even if he blocks the Ulamog, 2 attacks is going to remove Gerry's deck from the game.
This is true. We're going to go with the Tar Pit and the Watery Grave. Thompson going to flash back the Thought Scour. Target himself, Mana Leak, and an Island. I believe he just drew a copy of Fulminator Mage, a touch late. You can see just how difficult this matchup can be for Grixis Control.
Yeah, someone needs to tell that Fulminator Mage that the party's over. You know, the Ulamog, the Fun Police, has already showed up.
Yep.
Shut the party down.
Where are all my friends? I was actually a Cold Guns command. This party's still over, and that's going to do it.
Yep.
Ali Aintrazi going to win this match here over Gerry Thompson, 2-0. Green Red Tron going to take care of Grixis Control. And for Ali Aintrazi, he is on top of the standings. He is 10-0 here in Cincinnati.